But I wanted also to present an independent discussion about some of our options. So I'll ask CPI to give a short presentation for me, please.
Good afternoon. Murtaza Baksamosa, Center on Policy Initiatives, and Susan Dirksen with me. Center on Policy Initiatives is a San Diego-based research and policy think tank. We want to evaluate and educate policymakers on matters that concern working families in San Diego. Our studies show that a 10% cut is quite drastic. It will affect 1 in 5 future workers that are in your classrooms today. It will affect whether they graduate or not. It will affect their performance in school. It will affect whether they get a job after they graduate, and it will affect what kind of wages they get when they graduate. The impact is not just on these students. The impact is on the entire economy. For every dollar that you invest in education, it yields $3 short-term income and $32 in long-term impact on the economy. As you are pursuing drastic changes in the organization of the school system, there are some key questions and therefore concerns that we feel have not been evaluated adequately. You need to do a scenario analysis, firstly, so that you know at least what the impacts are on the students. Your students are your outcomes. What you invest in education is reflected in what your students achieve. We feel that this has not been adequately vetted. So firstly, you do not know what the impacts will be on student performance or on number of students or on the type of students. Secondly, we heard board member Jackson talked about the legislation. We know that as a result of statewide effort at educators, legislators are scrambling to save our classrooms. The impact on our district budget is unknown. Thirdly, the district has $127 million in so-called reserves. We do not know which of these funds are usable today to cushion us in this moment of crisis. Fourthly, as we lose qualified teachers to other school districts and to other professions, the cost to recover to the current level that we provide today is unknown. Therefore, let me go over to Susan, who will talk about the recommendations.
Thank you. I'd like to summarize some alternatives that we hope you will be sure you have fully considered before voting to lay off classroom teachers. State law requires you to keep a 2% reserve of your operating budget, which would be about $23.8 million. And we're not suggesting that you touch that. But your most recent budget update shows that there are other possible reserves and unspent funds that could total as much as $100 million. We know you can't use all that, but we urge the board to thoroughly analyze which of these funds might be usable. This is a page from the financial report that you approved on March 11th. These are unrestricted targeted reserves of $46 million. Then there's another $80 million in restricted funds. With that money, we realize they're restricted to certain programs, but we're asking that you could join with other educators in lobbying the legislature to seek some flexibility on the use of some of that money. And we suggest that maybe you could delay implementation of some of the restricted programs while you're doing this investigation of whether some of the revenue could be redirected. We would suggest a hiring freeze. Every year, the district fills vacancies that are caused by normal retirement and attrition. If you freeze hiring now and consider redirecting some resource teachers into classroom teaching, that could help solve the budget shortfall that you might face. And finally, as of 2005, every dollar spent in San Diego Unified's operating budget, only 56 cents was going to instruction. I'm told by your staff that it's now down to 55.4%. But if you take the 2005 numbers, the state average that year was 62%. The difference between that is a lot of money. If the administrative staff ratio was shifted closer to the average of other districts. In 2005 dollars, it would save about $73 million. We urge you to thoroughly explore these options before you make any final decisions that will impact classroom teaching. Thank you very much.
Thank you.